But as I always say, you know what, you got to follow the money. Now all these things are getting exposed. And Trump's going after him. I mean, he's really going after him, and he's like, it's not going to happen. You're not going to use taxpayer dollars, hard-earned taxpayer dollars, to go and fund these ridiculous projects to just keep your people in charge. And so this is all coming out right now. For example, this one right here, this was amazing. You had these pop-up, we can call them pop-up companies, pop-up NGOs. Truly amazing, guys, because you didn't really have to have sort of any real qualifications to get these things going. This is Climate United Fund. I'm just showing you the tax return here. If you're looking at the screen of a pop-up NGO shell like Climate United, where you had Biden's EPA chief, Michael Regan, along with Kamala Harris. Michael Regan, no relation to Trish Regan, thank you very much. He gave $7 billion total to this suddenly created, I mean, that's the most ever, okay, Climate United Fund. And it happened in spring of 2024, April 2024. Do you think that time is just a little bit peculiar? I do. It launched just 5 months earlier in November of 2022 when its tax return showed it had a little tiny $547,000 worth of revenue. And it spent $451,000 of that $547,000 in just 2 months in 2023, a quarter of that on legal fees, the majority of the $323,000 mysteriously going to, well, people don't know because the tax returns don't actually say. So this is $7 billion in your tax money that's going to various places, various states, including this power forward communities that was linked to one Stacey Abrams. So, you know, this is obviously major concern. I know they're investigating it right now, but I'm just looking at this saying, I think that there's more there. And this is likely going to, in my estimation, turn into some kind of criminal investigation because you're taking people's money, repurposing it for political purposes. You're doing it to keep a particular administration in charge. Here's Jesse Waters, my former colleague at Fox, on the subject just the other night.
Found that when Biden announced he was giving out money to fight climate change, Democrats and donors with ties to Biden and Obama lined up for grants. Some of them even formed new nonprofits right after they heard about the climate cash. Stacey Abrams was hired by a group called Rewiring America. Then they were awarded $500 million in taxpayer money. Ari Matsuiak is the CEO of that same organization. He worked in the Obama administration and donated thousands to Kamala. Beth Baffert is the CEO of the Climate United Fund, which got $7 billion of your money. $7 billion. Beth worked for the Obama campaign and White House earlier in her career, but told Primetime there's no relationship between Climate United and any political party. I'm sure of it. Richard Kaufman also worked for Obama, and he's a big-time donor, big time. He sent over $500,000 to Democrats. He got a good return on his investment, though. His group, Coalition for Green Capital, got $5 billion. Oh, but they say they're nonpartisan. The Opportunity Finance Network was awarded more than $2 billion. Their CEO, Harold Pettigrew, who got the job months before the grant's application went public, worked under Biden. If you want to get rich quick, start a nonprofit.
Basically, the government-funded NGOs are a way to do things that would be illegal if they were the government, but are somehow made legal if it's sent to a so-called nonprofit. But these nonprofits are then used to, people cash out these nonprofits. They become very wealthy through nonprofits. They pay themselves enormous sums through these nonprofits.
And how many NGOs?
I think there's a total number of NGOs, probably millions, but in terms of large NGOs, tens of thousands.
If Democrats were really concerned about climate change, why are they funneling cash to all their friends instead of just sending it directly to solar and wind companies? These people can't figure out how to run a company even with free money. Biden gave a solar panel company, Sunnova, a $3 billion loan. And now they say they're about to go bankrupt. Why'd Sunnova get the check? Well, it doesn't hurt that Sunnova's director served on a board with the head of Biden's energy loan program. Joe basically made a big mess giving our money to his friends and didn't lower the Earth's temperature a smidge. Now it's time for the Trump team to prosecute graft and get us a refund.
Yes. Okay, yes. And so that's where Stacey comes in. That's where a whole lot of people, you heard him mention a whole bunch of big donors to the Democrat Party. It's like, okay, if you have a friend in the Democrat Party close to power, if they know Kamala, you might be able to get this green energy windfall. I mean, this is an insane amount of money, guys. Again, this is the largest we've ever seen on record, $7 billion, 2 of it going to one Stacey Abrams. That is messed up. That is messed up. And things, we thank DOGE for the work they're doing on this, and it's got to get exposed. I mean, you shouldn't be relying on government so heavily. This is something that came out actually in my friend Maria Bartiromo's interview with Donald Trump over the weekend. And he was basically pointing out we shouldn't have an economy that is so reliant on government, right? If you do that, what are you? What are you? You're communist, you're socialist, you might as well be the USSR. If the government is the one controlling everything, picking the winners and losers, giving out $7 million, billion with a B that they've taken effectively from stolen. I mean, if you ask me, that's stealing our money. If you're then pouring it back into your political cronies, causes to nowhere. And that stuff has got to stop. And so this is why you saw just moments ago, Marco Rubio this morning coming out and saying, hey, you know what? The USAID stuff, that's done too. He's slashing 83% of all the money that we are giving out all around the world. Here is what he tweeted. I want to share it with you guys because this is a big deal, okay? He says, after a 6-week review, we officially canceled 83% of the programs at USAID. 5,200 contracts that are now canceled, spent tens of billions of dollars in ways that did not serve and in some cases even harmed the national interests of the United States of America. In consultation with Congress, we intend for the remaining 18% of programs, we are keeping approximately 1,000 to now be administered more effectively under the State Department. Thank you, DOGE, for all your hard work. For those of you that have been working long hours to achieve this. In other words, let's save the people some money. Let's keep the money in the hands of the people. Again, going back to what Donald Trump told my friend Maria over the weekend. Listen in.
Well, I want a dynamic country where the private enterprise carries the day, not the government. And I want a strong country militarily. We need that nowadays. You can see that probably better than ever before. So I rebuilt our military. A lot of it was given away to Afghanistan, but it was a lot, but a very small portion, in all fairness. But when you think about the billions and billions of dollars that was just handed over, but I rebuilt it. We're going to be rebuilding it again because we need that. We always need that. But we're doing a series of incentives, tax incentives and other things. The tax bill, I think, is going to be very important. The Democrats will fight us all the way. One thing I learned the other night, again, I could say, because it's my 5th such speech. And at the beginning, I said, I didn't know it was going to be as pertinent as it turned out to be, that no matter what I do, this group of people in front of us, I could come up with a cure to the worst disease that the world has ever seen. I gave other examples. I said, no matter what I do, they're going to sit there angry, insolent. You just see it. I mean, you see it, you can feel it. No matter what I say, no matter what I do, no matter who it is, they won't stand, they won't applaud, they won't clap. They'll just sit there with sour faces. And that's what they did. And, it was interesting. I said, I wonder if I should put this in, but it worked out to be true. And I think by putting it in, I showed that it was true. And it's sad because we're doing great things in this country. This country's really got a chance to be pretty quickly great again. I think the country has got a big light over it right now, and I've been told this by even other foreign leaders. We had Modi, we had everywhere. We had from France to India to about 12 that want to come in. They all want to be here. Every one of them wants to be here. We had the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom who was here, and he couldn't believe. He said the difference in terms of the feeling about the United States is very different. It feels that we're back, we're respected again. We are respected again. And in a way, we're back, and it's only been a few weeks. Right?
But, people people are freaking out because the status quo that once was, the massive government spending, the massive government payrolls, that's all changing in real time. I mean, you get tariffs, for example, as well. And Donald Trump in that interview warned, as did Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, on Friday on CNBC, like, look, it could be a little bit rough. And so what do you see? A little bit of roughness right now in the markets. And I'll tell you, of course, everybody's overreacting. This is what they do. They just can't help themselves.
Jonathan,
I want to go to this soundbite in just a moment from Scott Bessent, because I think it's important to, or forgive me, actually, this one's from Politico. I think it's important to understand how there's just such an effort, if you would, to always paint Donald Trump in the worst possible light. You heard it there from him. And now if you go over to the media today, if you watch the financial media, if you watch the political media, they are just swept up in this idea that somehow we're heading straight to recession because of tariff policies, et cetera. By the way, thank you, Harmonon. Thank you for your generosity, and thank you, Spirit-Filled, as well, for your generosity. Let's listen here to the Politico bureau chief. Politico, remember, they were the ones that got $8.2 million for their Politico subscriptions that every government person somehow had to have in 2024? And you wonder why Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were getting such positive, I'm telling you, like, these things are related, such positive coverage nonstop that Donald Trump was the enemy. Well, here's the Political bureau chief saying, oh, the luster's worn off on Wall Street. He's wrong. They're going to say this for a day. Watch.
Here. Jonathan, let me kick it off with you. After this week of whiplash over President Trump's tariffs, you heard his Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, basically defend the strategy. What do you make of where we are right now? And did the Commerce Secretary say anything that will calm markets tomorrow?
Lutnick to Wall Street. Get used to it. It's going to be week to week, in some cases day to day, or even hour to hour. This tariff regime, some are on, some are off. Look, I think this was the week, Kristen, that Wall Street woke up. And Wall Street snapped out of its denialism. There was a sense, I think, among a lot of investors in the aftermath of the election, when they were riding the Trump bump, that we are back. We have a deregulatory, conservative, pro-market, pro-business president. That was fantasy. That is not Donald Trump. He is not from the Wall Street Journal. He is somebody who does deeply believe in tariffs, not just on fentanyl or drug inflow. He believes fundamentally in the tariffs. He says it's the best word in the English language. And so I think this was a sort of seminal week on Wall Street, and that it's not going to change. And by the way, it isn't just the tariffs. It's also the uncertainty about Elon and the role of the federal government, because that involves contracts with the private sector. So business is paralyzed on hiring, on investing. They don't know what to do going forward.
Mark, you know, it's so interesting. Jonathan, I think, hits at such an important point. President Trump has loved tariffs long before he...
They love this, right? They absolutely, positively love this. Anything that they can do to paint Donald Trump in a bad environment. Look, will tariffs be hurtful to the economy? In the near term, yes, if in fact they really come into being. I mean, Howard Lutnick was on Fox earlier today saying, look, you know what, we're in this negotiation, we're serious about negotiating, but most likely this will come to a resolution. So you got to be sort of able to, I'm telling you this as an investor, handle the swings, which we've certainly been able to do. I'm celebrating my 1-year anniversary, the creation of 76 Research. And it's an interesting note that, by the way, our portfolios are doing a whole lot better than the S&P today, because we've sort of structured them in a way to anticipate a lot of what is coming down the pike. And I would just say, like, everybody take a deep breath, okay? You get the NASDAQ off 4%, you get the market going crazy, in part because the media just piles on. And I always think it's really important in these moments to understand what's real, what's not. Now, you're seeing a lot of sell-off in tech, but you're seeing some stabilization in some of those good long-term companies. It's the reason why I do encourage you to go over to 76 Research, use my code word dollar, use it, get it for $1 a month to start for the first 2 months, and it goes to $9.95. Do that, because I think it'll help give you some guidance. We actually have a note coming out momentarily. The portfolios, that's another animal. If you're interested in investing in portfolios, we have 3 of them there for you. And I'm just looking at, for the year, where we are, all top 5 holdings in each of these. There's 10 to 15 stocks in each one. just flying, really, compared to, you think about where the regular market is. So there's been a lot of success there. But keep in mind, this is a media team that wants to try to destroy him. So they're cheerleading the market going down. And me as an investor, I want to look through that. It's like when COVID happened, right? And I said, this is ridiculous. This is positively ridiculous. There's no way that the market should be selling off so viciously, so violently. And hello, I mean, was I right or was I right? Right. I've been doing this for a while, as has, by the way, my colleague over at 76 Research, who's run billions of dollars on Wall Street for decades. And yours truly has been on the front lines of financial journalism for decades. And so we can kind of see through some of this noise. And I'm just going to point out, today is noise. So take a deep breath. I actually bought in. And you can't catch a falling knife. I'm of the belief that you buy and you hold long term. It's good to see. Oh, I do have very generous folks here. Thank you so much to all of you. Lee, thank you. New team member as well. Lee, good to have you here. And this is, look, I don't disagree. STS, in other words, STS is saying conservatives are like, hey, wait a second. You don't take our tax money and squander it. And that is what they're doing. And if it means like we're going to have a bumpy ride until it gets figured out, we're going to have a bumpy ride, right? Until it gets figured out. It's one reason too. I mean, let me give a shout out for gold here, which I just bought some more gold before I came on the air because it was trading down. Like there's nowhere to hide today, right? Everything's trading lower. And if you're interested in investing in gold, it's something that I am a believer in for the long term, right? That you hold it for the long term. I encourage you to go visit my friends at trishlovesgold.com. You can't forget that. Or at trishlovesgold.com and get $15,000 right now in free silver. Text Trish, my name, to 65532 today, 65532. Just text Trish or call them at 1-844-495-1115 or go to the website, trishlovesgold.com, because you can get a little information on how to, in my estimation, ride out the storm, because gold is one of those things that's held its value for thousands of years, and it's just another reason why I like it. Also, a quick shout out. We get a few ads to get through here today, but this is the last one, I promise. For my friends at Balance in Nature, I love this stuff. I've actually been taking it for, I want to say, almost a year now. My gummies, fruits and veggies, and I've done really well. I got a cold a few weeks ago, and that's kind of amazing that I've only had one this year. I credit my vitamin D. You can see I'm actually traveling right now, so I'm getting a little bit more vitamin D literally as we speak. I'm getting the sun shining down on me. It's hot. It's hot. I'm actually in Alexander Hamilton's birthplace right now. Think about that. Kind of a special moment to be here as we're looking at all this chaos and all the structural changes that they're trying to implement for our economy. So balanceinnature.com, it's really good. I take the fruits and veggies. I get my daily vitamins that way. You can get 35% off if you go to balanceinnature.com. Use code word Trish, 35% off, free shipping, and a money-back guarantee. So you can't beat it.